Welcome back to the deep dive. I've noticed something
Good.
lately. A lot of you have been asking about, well, incorporating a company in India.
Makes sense. It's a big step.
Huge. And honestly, those how to start a business articles,
Yeah,
they just scratch the surface.
definitely.
So today, we are diving deep
Yeah.
into Chapter-2 of an Indian company law study guide.
Ooh, getting into the good stuff.
This chapter is called Incorporation of Company and Matters Incidental Thereto.
Sounds pretty official.
It is, but trust me, it's fascinating.
I believe it.
For example, did you know that in India,
Hmm.
you can have a company that, get this, isn't even trying to make a profit?
Really?
I know, it blew my mind too.
Wow.
Plus, there's this thing called the doctrine of ultravires, which basically means a company can become, well, too powerful for its own good, legally speaking.
Interesting.
And then there are one-person companies.
One-person companies.
Like, you're the company.
That's a new one.
Right. So much to unpack.
It sounds like it.
Mm.
A lot of people think company law is dry,
Oh, tell me about it.
but it really is fascinating and surprisingly important.
Absolutely. Getting it right from the start.
That's key.
It impacts everything. Like, can you be sued personally?
Ooh, good question.
Right. Or how do you handle investors? So many moving parts.
It's the foundation of your whole business, really.
So let's say I'm sitting here
Yeah.
with my amazing business idea,
I like where this is going.
ready to take on the world, India style.
Okay, I'm hooked.
Where do I even begin?
All right, first things first.
Hit me with it.
What kind of company are we building?
Oh, good point.
Because in India, you've got options.
Spill the tea.
This study guide lays it out really well
Okay.
in the formation of companies section.
I'm all ears.
So you've got your public companies. Those are the big players on the stock exchange.
Makes sense.
Then there are private companies, usually smaller, fewer shareholders.
Gotcha.
And then, get this,
Wise.
one-person companies, OPCs for short. Yep, a company of one.
Seriously.
Seriously, it's a pretty new idea.
So, like, I'm the CEO, employee, and everything.
Pretty much. It's designed for entrepreneurs, to encourage people to take the leap.
That's actually really cool.
Right. You get the benefits of a company structure.
Like what?
Limited liability, for one.
Meaning?
If your amazing app idea goes belly up,
Oh, don't even say it.
your house doesn't go with it.
Okay. Phew. So my personal stuff is safe.
Exactly. You're not personally on the hook for the company's debts.
That's a huge relief.
Right. But that's just one option.
There are more.
Oh, yeah. You've also got companies limited by shares.
Okay, that sounds pretty straightforward.
It is. Your liability is limited to, well, the money you put in, the shares,
So what I invest is what I could lose.
basically.
Yeah.
Then there are companies limited by guarantee, often used by nonprofits.
Interesting.
The members promise a certain amount of money if the company goes under.
Like a backup fund.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And lastly, you have unlimited liability companies. Those are riskier. The members are personally liable for the company's debts.
Yikes. Not for me.
Probably not for most people. It's a very specific situation.
So many choices. My head is spinning.
It's a lot to take in, but we're breaking it down.
That's what I'm here for.
No matter which type you choose,
Yeah.
there are some common elements you'll encounter.
Like what?
You'll see these terms:
Huh.
memorandum of association and articles of association,
Oh, yeah, I kept seeing those.
MOA and AOA for short.
They sound intimidating.
They do, but think of the MOA
Okay.
as your company's grand vision statement.
All right, I can dig that.
It lays out the big stuff:
Yeah.
your company's name, where it's located, its goals, how much money you can raise.
So the big picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how much liability the members have.
Makes sense. And what about the AOA?
That's like your rule book.
Okay, so MOA is the AOA is the how.
You got it. How things are run day to day.
Like meetings, voting, all that jazz.
Exactly. And here's the thing.
Uh-oh, what's the catch?
Both of these are public documents.
Meaning?
Anyone doing business with your company,
Yeah.
they're presumed to have read them.
Really?
It's this legal thing called constructive notice.
So no excuses like, I didn't know.
Not really. They should have done their homework.
It's like a legal buyer beware.
Precisely. But there's another side to that coin.
Oh.
Doctrine of indoor management.
Okay, that one sounds more complicated.
Basically, it protects people dealing with your company from certain internal mishaps.
So give me an example. I'm a visual learner.
Sure.
Like-
Let's say your AOA states that checks over a certain amount need 2 signatures.
Okay.
But one director goes rogue, signs a huge check solo.
Yeah.
The supplier tries to cash it. The bank says, nope, need 2 signatures.
So what happened?
Indoor management kicks in.
Meaning?
The supplier is probably protected
Seriously?
because they reasonably assumed the director had the authority.
Wow. That's a bit of a loophole.
It's about balance, trust, but also being aware of red flags.
Gotcha. So it's not a free pass for shady dealings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that surprised me in this study guide,
What's that?
the whole idea of companies with charitable objectives.
Wait, what? Companies doing good deeds?
I know, right? It's a thing.
How does that even work?
They're called Section 8 companies,
Okay.
specifically designed for social good, promoting art, science, education, all sorts of great causes.
So you can actually set up a company in India where the goal isn't making money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about making a difference.
That's pretty amazing.
It's a whole different way of thinking about business.
So they're not about profits at all.
Well, not in the traditional sense. Their goal is impact.
Fascinating. So how do they operate? Do they have special rules?
They do. They get certain tax exemptions, for example,
Straight.
but also have to meet specific requirements for transparency and accountability.
Makes sense. Got to keep things above board.
Exactly. For instance, they can't use limited or private limited in their names.
Huh, interesting. It's like a whole different category of company then.
Exactly. With its own set of goals and regulations.
So let's say I've done all the paperwork, jumped through all the hoops.
Okay.
My MOA, AOA, everything is approved.
Nice.
My company is officially registered.
You're officially in business.
But what does that actually mean? Like, what changes, legally speaking?
Good question. This is where Section 9 of the Companies Act comes in.
Lay it on me.
It outlines the key legal transformations.
Hit me with the highlights.
The biggest one. Your company becomes a separate legal entity.
What does that even mean?
It's like your company is born, legally speaking.
That's a person.
Not a person, exactly, but it has its own rights and responsibilities.
So my company has its own ID card.
In a way, yes. It can own property, sign contracts, even sue or be sued.
All under its own name.
Exactly. Separate from you.
So my personal stuff is protected.
Generally, yes. That's one of the big benefits of incorporating.
Okay, that makes sense. But you said generally protected. What's the catch?
That's a great question. And it brings us to this legal concept of lifting the corporate veil.
Lifting the veil. Sounds dramatic.
It can be. It's when courts decide to ignore the company's separate status.
Why would they do that?
There are a few reasons.
Like what?
If someone sets up a company just to commit fraud, for example.
So no hiding behind my company to do shady stuff.
Not if you want to stay out of trouble.
Makes sense. So incorporating isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
The law is there to ensure companies are used responsibly.
Okay. That's a little scary, but good to know. But getting back to this whole separate entity thing,
Yeah,
you mentioned it can live on even if I, move on.
that's right. Perpetual succession.
So my company could outlive me.
It could. It's not tied to your lifespan.
That's wild.
It's a powerful concept. It means your business can grow and evolve over time.
Wow, I'm starting to see the bigger picture. So to actually incorporate, what do I do?
Well, thankfully, India's made it easier.
Oh, good.
You file an online application.
Okay.
It's called Spice Plus.
Spice Plus, what's that stand for?
Simplified pro forma for incorporating company electronically. Plus, it's designed to speed things up. Everything's electronic.
Thank goodness, no mountains of paperwork.
Not anymore. It's all about making it easier.
Okay, so what info do I need for this Spice Plus thing?
The basics.
Yeah.
Company name, registered office address,
Gotcha.
who the directors are, share capital, all that.
Okay.
Plus, you'll need copies of your MOA and AOA.
Right, those are crucial.
And declarations from professionals, like a company secretary.
So they're vouching for me.
Exactly. Confirming everything is legally sound.
Makes sense.
And then proof of identity for everyone involved.
Gotcha, like my passport.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about transparency and accountability.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here.
Once it's all submitted and approved,
Yeah.
you get your company's official birth certificate.
A birth certificate.
Well, it's called a certificate of incorporation.
Fancy.
It's proof that your company officially exists.
Wow, it's like a graduation ceremony for my business.
In a way, yes. You've officially entered the world of incorporated companies.
Yeah. This is all so much more than just filling out forms.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like building the foundation of a house.
That's a great way to put it. And speaking of foundations, there's a lot more to explore when it comes to this whole incorporation process.
Okay, I'm ready for more. Where do we go from here?
So we've talked about the building blocks of a company.
Right, the different types, all those terms.
But now, let's really dig into one of the most fundamental ideas in company law.
Okay, hit me with it.
This whole concept that a company is its own separate legal entity.
We touched on that before.
We did, but Section 9 of the Companies Act really lays it out.
And
It has huge implications for how your company actually works in the real world.
so real-world consequences, not just legal theory.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Once you incorporate
Yeah.
your company's, like, its own person, legally speaking,
Whoa, hold on. A person.
not literally, of course,
Okay, great.
but separate from you, the shareholder.
Okay, so it can do its own thing.
Exactly. It can buy property, enter into contracts.
Serious stuff.
It can even sue or be sued, all under its own name.
So it's like my company has its own passport, free to travel the world of business.
That's a great analogy.
Mm,
And this separation is important for a few key reasons.
believe on me.
First, it protects you.
Me, the shareholder.
Exactly. In most cases, you're only liable for what you invested.
Meaning?
Your personal assets, your house, your car, that's all protected.
From
Business debts, lawsuits, all that.
That's a huge relief.
It is. It makes starting a business less scary.
Makes sense. Less risk involved.
Exactly. Second, this separate status.
Yeah.
It allows for perpetual succession.
Ah, that term it means.
Your company can outlive you.
Even if
You retire, sell your shares, whatever.
So my company can keep going even if I'm not around.
That's right. It provides stability, allows the business to grow long term.
That's incredible. It's like creating a legacy.
It is. And lastly, this separation clarifies roles.
Roles.
Like directors, they have a legal duty to act in the best interest of the company, even if that means going against what a shareholder wants.
So they're not just puppets for the shareholders.
Exactly. They have to answer to the company itself.
It's like they're guardians of the company's mission.
That's a great way to put it. But here's the thing.
Oh, there's always a catch.
This separate entity thing, it's not a foolproof shield.
Meaning?
There are times when courts can lift the corporate veil.
That sounds bad.
It can be. It's when they hold the people behind the company responsible.
When would that happen?
Well, one common scenario
Okay.
is if a company is basically a sham set up for fraud.
So like hiding illegal activities.
Yeah, exactly. Money laundering, tax evasion.
Gotcha. So no using my company to break the law and get away with it.
Exactly. Another situation is when the lines get blurred
What?
between the company and its owners,
Give me an example.
using company funds for personal expenses.
Like what?
Your rent, lavish vacations.
So no raiding the company coffers for my dream trip.
Not if you want to avoid personal liability.
Okay, that's a good reminder. Limited liability is great, but there are limits.